Hello, everybody.
Hi.
Welcome. It's starting. Yay! Welcome to another exciting edition of Living at Your Highest Quality of Life. We are the doctors at Inspire Wellness.
I'm Dr. Jessica Hutchins. Hi, everybody.
And I'm Dr. Dan Neides. Great to be with you. 216-965-9303 is our phone number. All things functional medicine, peptides, medical cannabis, infrared sauna, all the IVs, all the great stuff that we do. It's just lots of fun. Still enjoying it.
I hope so.
And of course, thank you to all of you for helping support Inspire Wellness. Get that music down a little bit. So please reach out, 216-965-9303. Let us know how we can help. And incredible weather.
Oh my gosh, yesterday was so great. I
And
hope everybody got outside.
Got to eat outside yesterday. It's still winter technically.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Hopefully, if it doesn't rain, might even grill out. Before it gets cold again. So, little reprieve from the deep freeze. Winter 2026.
Although we did great with that too. I'll tell you, if anybody is suffering with seasonal affective disorder depression in the winter, one of the keys for me, because I've felt like that my whole life, is literally getting out in warm enough clothes and hiking all winter. So I would highly recommend that. Just bundle up, even if you have to wear 10 layers, and get little foot warmers that you put in your shoes or something. But getting outside, don't you agree?
Yeah,
it helped me so much.
Spectacular. And actually, I found the pure beauty of that pristine white snow.
In the metro parks and in the Geauga County parks.
Spectacular.
Yeah,
it really was. It was great to be out there and having the same kind of attitude about just staying inside and hibernating during winter. Decided to embrace things a little bit differently and loved it.
Yep.
Yeah, really did.
So let us know your experiences with beating the winter blues.
Absolutely. But yeah, get out there and get some fresh air. So what's our topic today?
All right, so I came across an amazing book that was just released about, I don't know, a month ago or so. And it's somebody who I've been following for a while.
Hold it up for you.
Yeah, hold it up. Your Anxiety is Giving Me Anxiety. And it's just a totally different kind of book. You have to have an open mind when you read it. But I would highly recommend that. Anxiety is a huge problem. Like, how many people do you see with anxiety?
Everyone.
Right? 99 out of 100 people, there's some component of that. And especially the younger generations. I mean, at least with us, probably most of us our age, at least sometimes don't feel anxious. But some of these younger kids, the younger generation, and even like 8-year-olds, I mean, these days, it's just constant fight or flight state, always anxiety, and that's no fun way to live.
Absolutely.
So this book's, to me, it was really helpful. I read it on the plane when we just went on our national park trip, and I was going to read it again before this, but I didn't get a chance to do that yet. So this is just my few take-home points of this book, but I highly recommend maybe buying a copy to give any kids that you have that have really bad anxiety. It was certainly helpful for me, even though I think I have my anxiety sort of under control now, but still is really helpful. But I'm going to share it with my kids, so just keep it in mind. All right, so it's by author, a lady named Elizabeth April. She is quite a young woman. So, it is written more more towards younger people in general. No hard words, no big long sentences. It's a really short book. Like I said, I read it on the book. So let me summarize. So, and remember, this is just her ideas, but everything that was in this book made complete sense to me. So anxiety in general is kind of like, have you heard the term oversaturated sponge? Because he didn't read it, so he's going to be learning this stuff too.
Sure.
So oversaturated sponge. So picture a sponge, like an old-fashioned sponge. You fill it with water. It fills till it gets really, really big.
Then it's drippy.
And then all of a sudden, it all dumps out once it gets too overloaded, right? And so we fill it, and then it just not just a little bit extra, but it all dumps out. So that's kind of how she described anxiety. So it really is a matter of an imbalance between input and output. When you have more input than output, you get anxious. So that's kind of the foundation of it all. And what I mean by input is it could be sensory input, it could be the news input, it could be people telling you bad things all day input, it could even be going into Walmart and having the bright fluorescent lights and everybody's perfume smells and all that kind of input. it could be, which is way more likely with these younger people, literally watching YouTube all day long, right? That's input, that's not output. So you take in this massive amount of input through social media, through phones, through computers, etc., all day long, and you need to get it out. And output can be in a million different forms. I mean, it could be a creative form, like doing art is absolutely output, going running is output, building something is output,
So,
dancing is output.
exercise,
So
right.
so anything that you writing, anything like that is output. But literally, again, picture the young generation, how much output is really happening compared to the input. Like, so I mean, that's a huge problem. So get rid of the phones as much as possible, but if you can't, increase your output if you can't decrease your input, so you don't become an oversaturated sponge. So again, that's
great analogy.
Yeah, that's the foundation. So I love that.
But like you said, I think it starts with, what's the root of the problem, right?
Sure.
It's we know it's the phone. It is the phone. It's the addiction and the constant need to know what is social media saying. It doesn't matter which one. And my kids call it doom scrolling. I mean, I see it. They're over there just like, and I always say, like, what are you doing? Like, pick up a book, read, like, do something else. Like, it can't just be this constant addiction to this tiny little screen.
Yeah, and there was anxiety before phones, but gosh, is there a whole lot more now. And empaths are much more likely to be anxious, and I would say 80-90% of the patients I see are empaths, and I don't know how that happened, but I don't know if that's the same for you, but empaths kind of absorb other energies, and so that's dramatically increasing your input, right?
Yep.
So there's some completely non-medical tips that I can give, and I love sharing these things with little kids because they're way more receptive to weird things than adults. But one thing is you could put a bubble around you, an imaginary energetic bubble. Like, let's say you have to go into Walmart or you have to go to a concert and you're really nervous about it, all the stuff there. You literally put an energetic bubble, imaginary energetic bubble around you, and that can help prevent all that energy from coming in. And whether or not that's real or not, doesn't hurt to try. And placebo effects are always
placebo effect
important.
can be profound.
And then also something called cord cutting. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of that, but it's more of an energetic thing that you think about. So let's say you had to go to a family Thanksgiving and you fight with all of your family members and it was just an awful experience. You're so anxious. When you leave there, instead of keeping all of that anxiety from them, you can just picture literally you being attached to all the people that you were with an umbilical cord. You take scissors, you cut it, and then you tie both sides into little bows. And literally that could, at least mentally, or placebo, and again, it doesn't matter how it happens, that could separate that energy from your energy. Or let's say you were at a grocery store and the cashier, I don't know, just had a pet pass away or something like that. So they're in tears, they're crying, they're totally discombobulated. You might absorb that as an empath. So then you go home, you feel a little anxious, and you might not realize why. You can cut cords with that person, and that can help you not absorb their energy. So just some tips, whether or not they work. They work for me for sure, but it's something that doesn't cost any money and doesn't have any side effects, so it's worth a try. And so then Elizabeth breaks the anxiety into 3 different components: past anxiety, present anxiety, and future anxiety. And the past is based on past traumas. You have unresolved trauma, you can have anxiety, and that manifests more as like a daily, chronic background anxiety all the time, which I know a lot of people who have that. And the present anxiety is more like the example I just gave, going to a Thanksgiving dinner and having a bunch of crazy family around, or having an interaction with the cashier or something like that. So that's present. So that, again, is way more with empathic people. It's mostly from other things. And then you can cut the cords and do energy bubbles about that. And then future anxiety is all the what ifs. What if this happens? What if that happens? So, you can't sleep, let's say. That's a common manifestation of future anxiety. And most of us have a combination of the past, present, and future for sure. Sometimes future anxiety can almost be a little bit of intuition. So the key, in my opinion, is to acknowledge the anxiety, but acknowledge it kind of as the observer or as a third party, not like wrapped into it. And then you might be able to use your intuition to your advantage. If you really are being anxious because you have, a business proposition by somebody, maybe you look into that anxiety as an observer without emotional attachment, and maybe you can figure out, wow, I'm anxious because actually that isn't the person that I'm supposed to go into business with, or something like that. That might have happened to us a couple times. So those are some examples. So then she talks a lot about what to do about it, and I can't even begin to tell you everything she says to do about it. So just a couple little things. So when you're in a loop or a spiral, when you can't seem to get out of it, and you're just thinking these what if thoughts all the time, you can't sleep, there's a couple like mantras or sayings that you can say that can help calm your nervous system right away. You can say, I am safe right now. I am supported right now. I am loved right now. Or make up something else that you want. But literally, if you say those words, those are soothing to your nervous system, and it might get you out of that loop at that moment. Doesn't mean it will prevent it from coming back later, but...
Can I also I know that's not necessarily in the book, but this happens a lot where people get into that loop overnight. They wake up, use the bathroom, and then they can't fall back to sleep. But breathing.
Oh, yeah,
so
sure.
Using like that 4, 5, 6 or 5, 6, 7 breathing where you're inhaling to the count of 5, holding for 6, and then exhaling through 7. That counting, right, it's disruptive. It's disruptive to the pattern. And then, you do that for several minutes. The next thing you know...
Or box breathing, where you just do a square breathing, like hold for 4, or breathe in for 4, hold for 4, breathe out for 4, and hold for 4. So either one of those, 6, 7, 8, box breathing, that absolutely can help too.
So,
do them both at the same time.
Yep. But we know that breathing increases parasympathetic tone, right? So... Again, you're just trying to disrupt your sympathetic nervous system at this point. Sorry.
No, sorry. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of things besides just what's in this.
No, I know. But I think the breath, I think, is helpful for people who are trying to consciously fall back to sleep. That disruptive pattern kind of stops the noise, and they start focusing. And the next thing they know, because their parasympathetic tone is so much higher, they're sleeping again.
Or rub your kitty cat in your bed. That might help too. So she talks about this program, I guess, I don't know, it's just a way of dealing with anxiety called Renew. And the big components are recognize it and then neutralize it. So recognizing it, hopefully, like if you read something like this, for sure that will help you recognize what's going on. Because sometimes when you're in the middle of it, in the middle of a spiral, you have no idea what's going on. Why you look like you're about to laugh?
No.
And then neutralizing it, I mean, that's a little more complicated, but really it means seeing the big picture, seeing what's there, seeing the problem, and taking yourself almost out of that situation and just looking at it as a fact. So taking, again, the emotion out of it. And being an observer is kind of a term that we see throughout our philosophy teachings or spiritual books that you and I have been looking at a lot. So it was interesting to see that she was talking about being the observer, but that's a huge thing. So she'll get into way more depth of how to do that in the book. And then she also has very helpful specific things you can do, which is, I think, the last half of the book is about that, like changing up your routines, for example. So anxiety comes a lot of times because there's something different going on. And change has to involve different things, and who wouldn't want some change in their life? Change doesn't have to be a bad thing, though. It is going to create a little bit of anxiety, but if you can just acknowledge, recognize that, yeah, that's the anxiety because I'm about to make a big change, okay, that's supposed to be there, great. Not like, oh my gosh, everything's going to fall apart, I'm going to die because I'm thinking these horrible thoughts, and what's wrong with me, and etc. That's not being the observer. So take your emotion out of it, objectively look at the situation and what's happening after you recognize it, and that can dramatically decrease how you feel, and then the loops in your head, the guy in your head, the heart racing, all that kind of stuff. So that's kind of the summary. I also want to say, I should have said this at the beginning, this is for anxiety that's not caused by, let's say, over-medicating your thyroid, or taking too many methylfolate supplements or something like that, because there's definitely physiological reasons why you could have anxiety that has nothing to do with this, but this is all not, I guess, because of a medical error or something like that. So any questions about that? Are you going to read it, do you think?
I think that's great. No, I think our society is very overburdened with this weight of stress and anxiety. I mean, the idea of being open to lots of different ideas of how to overcome this. There's no one quick fix, and I think, you know, I know Elizabeth April, and I think it's just another opportunity for a template for people who are suffering to move the needle.
Right.
That's all.
Right. And sometimes just reading about it makes you realize what's going on, and that's all you need. It's just to realize what exactly is happening in the body.
But that just brought up another point, reading. Go to the library, get a book, and read. And again, stop focusing on the screen, stop focusing on your mind. It's okay to be distracted. And it's okay to get a book and then, you know, you're using your own imagination to create a story. And
Which is a little bit different than watching a movie.
but we've
honestly.
gotten
It's
away
very-
from that, you know, we just have. And, I've gotten back into reading.
He's been reading, he's been going to the library every week.
It's great.
fun.
Love it. So again, it's a good distraction from the noise that seems to occur.
Right, it's not to say that you can't have distractions, that's not it at all. It's just, you have to have more outputs and input, and you have to deal with the emotions, not just shove them under the rug, I guess.
I think it's even more than that. It can't be unlimited input, and that's the difference. It's like the spigot is open, the water is flowing, and there is no shutoff valve. And that's the problem. It's just nonstop. So if we can learn to use the technology in bite-sized pieces where it's not overriding our lives, it becomes a useful tool. But when it becomes impairing, well, it's no longer useful, and it's dramatically affecting our quality of life in the wrong direction. And so, again, I think, yeah, okay, old man, get with the time. You know what? I've had a phone before most of you did, because when we worked at the clinic,
Yeah,
if
Blackberries
you were in
and those.
administration, first Blackberry, then iPhone had it all before everyone else had it, because I was in administration. So, I mean, I was using a Blackberry over 20 years ago. So, having seen my own pattern of falling into the trap and then recognizing it, but then putting the brakes on it and saying, you know what, I'm going to limit the amount of time that I'm spending with this, and I'm looking for other outlets. Again, for me, getting back to seeing that there's a library right up the street, and so I'm using that as an avenue of disrupting the pattern. But there's so many other ways. Like you said, you can exercise, music.
Crafts, make something.
Right.
Cook something.
Sign up for a class.
Yeah.
Learn something new
Ride a bike.
where it's distracting that free time from falling into the pit.
Learn a new language.
anxiety.
I mean, there's unlimited
It's
things to do.
It's absolutely unlimited. That was outstanding. Greatly appreciate that.
Nice to see everybody again. It's been a minute.
Reminding you again, 216-965-9303 is our phone number. Please reach out if we can help in any way. Our next Facebook Live, I can tell you right now, is going to be on hydration. We are a dehydrated society. We're going to be focusing on hydration, and we'll have some really good tips on that. So that'll be coming up.
Oh, and I have one more thing too that I forgot to say. So, like for the past 3 years, our staff has been begging me to sell shungite jewelry here. So we finally got some. So we have shungite bracelets for adults and little kids, which I think is going to be even more useful. So shungite, if you remember, is an EMF neutralizer kind of. So it helps decrease the radiation. So it's great to have on kids in school or kids that go on a play date, or it's just cool jewelry. So we have those here if anybody's interested.
Outstanding. So we look forward to seeing you next time at Living at
Your highest quality of life.
Remember, it's your time to thrive. Let us inspire you. Love you guys. See you next week.
Bye, everybody.
Take good care.